For the majority of my life, I've had trouble studying on a regular basis. I grew up with people around me saying that I need to study, and I knew studying was the right thing to do, but staying consistent with it was my problem. Say back in high school, I would study hard for 2 weeks, then it would meander. I would study on and off once for a month, and then another month later I would study again, which isn't good when you're trying to get into university. But even in university, it was the same problem. I would struggle with consistency in my study schedule. Not only sticking to one, more studying out of the urgency of, oh shit, there's a test coming up. No matter how hard I hyped myself up, I just couldn't stick to a routine. And then this is especially true for online school, where there are distractions everywhere and you could easily get distracted. Now, if you relate to this, I've been in the same spot. However, in the past couple months, I've developed a consistency to sticking with a study schedule I implemented. Because of this, I've been getting better marks in school. Took a lot less effort to keep studying afterwards. And now, this is part of a mindset I developed to trick my brain into doing hard things. I've also been able to apply this strategy to other areas of my life, such as working out consistently and consistently reading. I stopped creating motivation by thinking of an end goal, and instead, I learned to enjoy the process. The problem begins with looking at the end goal. And you might be wondering, why is this bad? Why not use the image of yourself getting good grades or the image of your beach body? The problem you'll face is that there's a huge disparity on how it feels to get good grades and how it feels to have a great body than what it actually takes, which is hard work and determination. There's a difference between thinking about acing your final exam and then putting the hours in by studying and flipping through that boring ass molecular biology book. And Lord knows how much I love molecular biology. They're completely different sensations. Fantasizing about achieving awesome grades, well, feels awesome. Puts you in a dreamland where you're just walking around, acting like an imaginary version of your best self. Getting good marks is monotonous, tiresome, and not to mention boring. That's the first problem. The second problem, when you try to generate motivation from the ideal image of yourself, it will always be a moving target. No matter how much time you fantasize about your ideal body or your ideal marks, you'll never feel like you arrived. And if, hypothetically, you were to end up at your end goal, there's this thing called entropy. Stasis breeds destruction. If you were just to sit on your winnings, they will most definitely come crumbling down. You need to keep moving. You have to love the daily discipline of going to battle each day and finding pleasure and fulfillment in the present moment for its own sake. If you are able to do this, you're in the happy place. The thing you're doing itself will allow you to generate the motivation to keep doing it, allowing yourself to be fully immersed in the activity you're doing. Am I saying it's bad to have goals in general? Not at all. Goals are good at creating direction. Having an ideal is like having a compass, leading you in the right direction. You should take a glance at it for reference. However, in the day-to-day struggle, it's not what you should be focusing on. Now that we know why it's kind of unhelpful to think of an end goal, now you're thinking, how can I learn to like doing hard things and integrate it into a part of my life? There's two things that help me do this. One is more of a mindset shift and more inner work, and number two is a more practical and strategic thing you can do. Now, without any further ado, let's just get on our way on how to trick our brain into doing hard things. Number one is to operate on an abundance mindset instead of a scarcity mindset. When you think to yourself, I need to ace all my classes, are you operating with an abundance mindset or a scarcity mindset? I'll give you a minute to figure it out. Have you thought about it? It's a scarcity mindset. Because you need to get something and that implies that you don't already have it. When you say, I need to study to ace all my classes, you're subconsciously saying to yourself, I don't have good grades yet. Which implies to yourself that you're not smart and that you don't have good grades. Human beings have an innate sense to stay intellectually consistent. Whatever you think your identity is, you're going to act accordingly. So if you keep saying to yourself that you don't have good grades, what do people with bad grades do? They don't study. When you look at it that way, studying will be something that's outside of your control, something that's unnatural to you. Why would you study when you don't have good grades to begin with? So am I saying you should do some woo-woo magic and pretend you're getting a 4.0 GPA when in fact you're getting a 1.0 GPA and force yourself in fact to think that you are an alpha student and that you're smarter than everyone? That's not what I'm saying, because that's not true. Instead, try reminding yourself that studying is important to you because you're a smart person and you want to get good grades. Since you're a smart person, studying is just something you naturally do. That right there gets rid of a ton of mental resistance. You can use this exact same method for exercising. If you're constantly telling yourself that you have to go to the gym to get jacked, that's implying that you're already not jacked. And what do not jacked people do? They don't go to the gym. So you won't go to the gym. But if you identify yourself as an active person, what do active people do? They go to the gym. It's just part of what they are and what they do. Then you're more likely to follow through with actually going to the gym or studying, going to the gym or studying. You may think this is some pseudoscience, but this is how some of the greatest performers, musicians, and athletes operate. I was watching the Netflix documentary series The Last Dance, and Michael Jordan said, you have to expect things of yourself before you can do them. And this makes sense, because if you don't have any expectations of yourself, you won't accomplish anything, and you won't become the person you want to be. The person who consistently studies or works out. The next tip is a little less theoretical, and that's utilizing habit stacking. And that pairs a pre-existing habit with a new habit you're trying to incorporate. For example, in the mornings, I stick to a specific routine of cooking 3 eggs, 2 pieces of toast, and a smoothie. I've been doing this for 3 years now, and you may say I'm a boring person, and sure, I am, but it works for me. And this time has allowed me to crack down, and this routine takes me approximately 15 minutes to accomplish, and another 10 minutes to eat afterwards. So in total, that's 25 minutes on my reading. Whether if I'm reading my molecular biology textbook or reading a book that I actually want to read. I do the reading when breakfast is cooking and while I'm eating it. I place my book right next to the stove, and as soon as I crack open the eggs on the pan, I open the book to the page I'm reading and start to read. And when I make my breakfast in the morning, I know to pick up the book and start reading where I left off. And the crazy thing is, you get used to reading, whether your eggs are cooking or not. It just becomes something you do. The action of reading becomes a whole lot more natural, and in fact, becomes something very pleasant. And that's so much better than reading with the end goal to become smarter. Habit stacking also works really well when you're trying to develop a study habit. Say there's a specific playlist you crave. If you have a specific playlist you listen to while studying, and you crave the sound of Drake's silky, smooth melodies, then you should try and leverage that and allow yourself to only listen to Drake while you're studying. This is one of the main ways I stayed consistent with studying. Now, there was this one Kanye album that really got me in the mood for studying, especially to study math. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was a mixture of the chorus or the beat itself. It just put me in the mood to sit down and crack out a couple hours of studying. Looking back at it now, it wasn't even good music. And just like eating breakfast and reading, when you start habit stacking, you develop a positive association with a habit you're trying to incorporate. Then your entire mindset towards that habit shifts. Pretty soon, you'll just feel confident, gain pleasure from studying from the simple fact that you're studying and that you'll have a better time acing your final. You won't even associate studying with Kanye anymore. Kanye just helped you get to the place where you are now. You find that it's less of the music making you feel so good, and it's more of the act of studying. In other words, stop generating your motivation on a day-to-day business by fantasizing about the end goal that you'll never arrive at. Instead, use the appropriate mindset shifts and habit stacking to learn to enjoy the process and love doing these things for their own sake. Now, that'll do it for me. If you have any tips you use to get shit done, leave them in the comments below so other people can benefit from them. And if you liked my video, make sure you press the like button, because when you like the video, the YouTube algorithm blesses my video by promoting it to other people. This is especially helpful when someone is struggling to study consistently. It could help them out because of the tips in the video, all because my head popped up on their homepage or in their suggested videos. If you're still here, consider subscribing. It helps me out a lot and is entirely free, and we are so close to 320 subscribers. How badass is that? And make sure to hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on any videos I post. That'll do it for me. Philpotts out.